Good evening. I'd like to call the SGWASA Board of Directors meeting for April 14th, 2026 to order. And I guess our number 2 thing is oath of office for the new member. Thank you.
Welcome back. See. Put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right. Do you solemnly and sincerely affirm that you will support the Constitution and laws of the United States, that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina and to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof, and that you will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution and laws of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, to the best of your knowledge and ability, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as a SGWASA board member, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Crystal, can we have the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Councilperson Thomas Lane.
Present.
Councilperson Vicki Daniels.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Archer Wilkins.
Present.
Commissioner Jimmy Gooch.
Present.
Commissioner Russ Mack.
Present.
Commissioner Georgiana Kaczynski.
Present.
Commissioner Kenneth McLean.
Present.
All are accounted for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the Pledge of Allegiance by Tom Lane.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Why is the eagle facing the corner? Eagle's facing the corner.
And invocation by Vicki Daniels. I'm sorry, I skipped you on the,
That's all right.
I reversed it.
We can pray before or after.
That's right. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, tonight we ask for guidance and clarity during our business meeting this evening. May our minds be in spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech so that our discussions may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. And number 6, conflict of interest declarations.
No conflict for me.
No conflict for me.
No conflict for me.
Everybody's good. Review and approval of the March 10th, 2026 board meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Public comments. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Angie Bailey? Angie Bailey? You would state your name and your address, please?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Angie Bailey, 601 12th Street. The last meeting, we came in and the blasting is what I want to comment on. We had the guy come out and put the little seismic thing out there, and he did it in the side yard, and he said, "Are you guys going to blast?" Yes, we are. Goes down the street, nothing happens. Comes right back up the street, picks up the seismic thing. We said, "You should probably leave that. You know, there's been a lot of big blasts going on. You should probably," no, we take it right back up. Took it right back up. 5 or 6 blasts later, my cup's still shaking, the pictures are off the wall, and everything in my yard is moving. So that thing of where you say you're gonna put the seismic thing in the yard, that's crap. I know what y'all are doing. You do one little tiny blast and then you boom, 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 boom. It's not fair, it's not right. You're gonna damage people's properties. It's probably already happened. And you need to leave the thing there and keep it there for probably a week while y'all are blasting. Picking it up and doing it after, oh, we know we're gonna blast. Are you gonna blast? Yes, okay, ting, nothing. You can hear it, but it doesn't happen. But then immediately after they pick the thing up, we're getting slammed. You're killing my house. I know what you're doing. It's just crap. It's a lie. Don't do it. Leave the equipment there so you can actually see what's happening to people's houses, their yards, their concrete slabs of their houses. It's just not right. I'm tired of y'all saying that you're taking action on it because it's not action. You're just making excuses. I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it. Stop. Stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Any other public comment?
No, sir.
Let's go to board discussion items on page 23. And it looks like Georgiana Kaczynski to discuss the unidirectional hydrant flushing project.
Thank you. I would just like to get a project update and a timeline. According to the original schedule, we should have a project update at this point.
Mr. Summerlin, you want to take care of that?
Yeah, thank you. I was just writing some notes down.
Yeah, so I'll have Chris Summerlin, our Assistant Executive Director, come up and answer those questions.
Sure. Good evening.
Good evening.
So along with the comments, I'd like to address the, I'll take this twofold. So I want to give you an update on the water treatment plant filter media project as well as the unidirectional flushing project because they tie into each other.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll start with the water filter media project. It's going very well. The original plan of action was to replace filter media in filters 1 through 3 independently, and then 4 and 5 simultaneously. However, we had some spikes in the effluent numbers, so we had to change the plan of action. So we ended up taking 4 offline by itself. So to date, filters 1 through 4 have been completed. Okay, we are in process of doing 5 now. So filters 1 through 4 are all now in service, running very well. Filter 5 has been pulled offline. The filter media has been excavated. There's been some concrete, or there are some concrete repairs in the basin that are needed. There's also concrete repairs underneath the basins that need to be addressed that are directly related to the filter basins. So to date, this project is scheduled for completion at the end of the month or early next month, which is a great thing. We've been very pleased with the contractor performing the work and pleased with the results of the new filter media. Filter run times have increased dramatically, and we've seen manganese numbers decrease because of the filter media. So we're very happy with this project. Now, you asked about the unidirectional flushing program. That was voted on during the January board meeting and is scheduled to start in late May to early June timeframe. Now, the reason is because, so I'll give you a little background. This project requires coordination between our utilities team, our water treatment plant team, and the engineering team with Hazen and Sawyer, as well as coordination for the public for the area. The project requires that we enact our utilities team to go and exercise the valves in the area. This will utilize the valve exercise machine that you voted on several months ago, as well as the 2 field staff members that you voted to let us hire, as well as some other members of our utility team. With this project, we will be flushing the area of Golden Pond, and we will use a lot of water with this project. Since all the water that we're using has to be processed through our water treatment plant, SGWASA staff felt it was best to wait until the completion of the water treatment plant filter media replacement project to ensure that we could meet our normal daily requirements, plus the addition of the water that we would use for flushing in the area. This will ensure that we don't have an issue with the amount of water that we produce at the water treatment plant. So again, we're looking forward to starting this project and look forward to the benefits of this program. We will develop communications for our customers in the area, ensure that the City of Creemore's Public Information Officer is also aware of this project, so we can let the residents in the area know directly what's going on.
So when I went back over the notes for when we approved this program, we were told 10 weeks from approval, and that would be now. So we're not going to get this one started on time either.
We're not getting the reason is because we wanted to finish the water treatment plant filter media project. Like I said, they directly tie into each other because you have to produce the water before you can flush the area. So we don't want to get into an issue where we have an issue producing the amount of water needed for that, plus daily normal usage that we would have in the area.
So will the drought affect this program?
No.
Not going to drain the lake, are we?
The Commissioner, I would just like to add that, we time this up, with our water main break season as well, with the filter work that's going on at the plant, as Chris just talked about. And we looked at, as he said, our schedule, thinking that May or June would be the best time to actually do this project. So we're heading in that direction. We have also, since the board has made the approval for this project, we've worked with the engineering firm because I think, as you recall from the presentation, there's a lot of engineering work that's required behind the scenes as well with the model to basically set up the unidirectional flow flushing for us in that project as well. So they have been working on that. We've had update meetings with them at least every other week since it was approved. We just delayed the timing a little bit until we can get past this project here, which helps us. It just makes sense for us.
Well, and it's fine, except the proposal that they made to us that it would be done within it would start in 10 weeks after we approved the contract. So that's what triggered me to ask this question tonight, because 10 weeks is up and we haven't started yet.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
So the filter media is going to be delayed and probably past the deadline on that one. And then the flushing is going to be delayed also.
So the filter media actually falls within the contract term dates that we had set aside. So that actually is pretty much right on schedule. Filter pulling 4 and 5 off separately only delayed it by about 15 to 20 days. It really wasn't a very lengthy process for that.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So I have a statement to read, and I'm going to start first off by saying this is not from the board of directors, because the board of directors have not read this letter that I'm going to read now. And I hope that they approve this letter. And it's a statement to the city of Creedmoor for their water quality policy. Good evening. I'd like to share a brief statement on behalf of the board chair regarding the city of Creedmoor's recently adopted water quality policy. The South Granville Water and Sewer Authority Board of Directors chair values the city of Creedmoor's interest in supporting residents on water quality matters and appreciates the city continues to take an active role in community education and outreach. That partnership is important to us. At this time, it is important to maintain clarity around the governance structure that has been in place since the city of Creedmoor sold and transferred its utility system to SGWASA many years ago. With the transfer, SGWASA became the sole governmental entity responsible for the operation, maintenance, data management, regulatory reporting, and overall stewardship of the water and sewer system. Because of this structure, the city does not hold legal authority to direct, manage, or independently collect or distribute operational data related to the utility system. All system management and compliance functions shall remain under SGWASA's authority to ensure accuracy, regulatory consistency, and system-wide coordination. We remain fully committed to collaborating with all of the member communities, especially in the areas such as communication, alignment, grant support, and resident engagement. As long as those efforts respect the established governance rules of each organization, SGWASA will continue to work constructively with our member communities to ensure our customers receive clear, accurate and consistent information about their water service. And that's all I have with the Creedmoor water quality policy. Let's move to,
Do you need a motion on
Motion on the others.
no,
that? That's your statement then. That's your statement.
that's my statement. Any comments on that? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item number 11, proposed 26-27 budget review, pages 24 through 67.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I believe we'll spend quite a bit of time on this item this evening to discuss the proposed FY 26-27 budget. This gives the Board of Directors an opportunity to look at the proposed budget, ask any questions, and then if there's any modifications proposed by the Board of Directors, then staff will go back and make those changes and bring back a revised version of the budget at the next budget meeting. So we have a lot of information to cover this evening. So I appreciate your patience and your focus as I provide to you a lot of information here regarding our proposed budget. On March 13th, 2026, SGWASA Finance Committee held a public meeting to review and discuss the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget as presented by the Executive Director and the Finance Director. The Finance Committee members include Vicki Daniels, Butner Town Council Person, and also the Finance Committee Chair, Georgiana Kaczynski, City of Creedmoor Commissioner and SGWASA Board Vice Chair, and Kenneth McLam, Town of STEM Commissioner, SGWASA Board Chair. During the Finance Committee meeting, myself, the Assistant Executive Director, the Finance Director, and the Assistant Finance Director provided committee members with a comprehensive overview of the proposed fiscal year 26-27 budget. The detailed presentation enabled the committee to actively contribute to the development of the final draft budget. At the conclusion of the March 13th meeting, the Finance Committee voted unanimously to approve the proposed FY 2026-27 budget and advance it to the required budget public hearings scheduled for this evening. This budget reflects the board's priorities of financial stewardship, service reliability, transparency, and organizational readiness, and positions SGWASA for emerging regulatory requirements and major long-term capital needs. This evening, part of this agenda item 11 attachments include Exhibit A, a proposed FY 26-27 budget book, including a schedule of rates, fees, and charges. And Exhibit B is the organizational charts, current and proposed. In terms of the overall direction and recommendation this evening, if the Board of Directors makes adjustments to the proposed budget, staff will incorporate those changes and prepare an updated version for presentation at the May 12th, 2026 board meeting. With that, I would like to turn to page 29 in your agenda book, which is the fiscal year 2026-27 draft budget message. And this will give me an opportunity to read through the budget message, giving you highlights of the budget, and then also give the board members opportunity. We'll pause to see if there's any questions or comments, Mr. Chair, if that approach is okay.
Yes, sir.
So in terms of the introduction, first of all, thank you for your continued support and guidance as SGWASA navigates a period of increasing regulatory requirements, rising operating costs, and significant long-term infrastructure needs. The FY 26-27 proposed budget responds to these challenges with a disciplined, forward-looking approach that maintains rate stability, reinforces essential operations, and advances the board's priorities for financial stewardship, organizational performance, and customer service excellence. In terms of the financial overview of the budget, the draft budget is balanced and supports SGWASA's annual operating and debt service obligations. Maintaining current rates is made possible by using $221,511 in available operating fund balance to cover the unfunded portion of asset depreciation. While asset depreciation funding remains below the 95% target, the authority continues to make progress towards funding fully 100% of annual depreciation in the near future. A multi-year approach to reaching this goal will be presented to the board during upcoming budget cycles. To avoid distorting SGWASA's operating budget results, the bond anticipation note, or BAN, related to revenues expenses for the I-85 sanitary sewer improvement project were removed from the operating budget. The BAN's net impact of $651,000 will be paid from designated capital improvement project funds, and a corresponding budget amendment for capital improvement project update will be brought to the board in July of 2026 regarding that. Moving on to organizational and staffing adjustments. To enhance operational efficiency and support SGWASA's growing financial responsibilities, the budget includes one new full-time accountant 1 position. This addition allows the customer service supervisor to return full attention to customer-facing responsibilities while strengthening SGWASA's financial controls and reporting. This position is fully supported within the existing revenues. To improve departmental alignment and oversight, the FY 26-27 budget also establishes 2 standalone departments, Finance and Public Information Officer. These changes enhance accountability, transparency, and budget management by creating clear operational boundaries and improved reporting structure. In terms of our key revenue elements in this budget, the revenues for the proposed budget continue the steady growth observed over the past years. Key revenue highlights include water revenue increase of $150,000 over last year, sewer revenue increase of $200,000 over last year, or our current year budget, excuse me, $2.28 million allocated for depreciation, a reduction of interest income by $200,000 based on updated projections. And in addition to our key revenue elements, we are recommending fee adjustments for our budget proposed, and that includes a $5 increase to the minimum fee for late payments and a $25 increase for the non-payment fee. We'll have an opportunity to look at that later, as found on page 54 of the agenda. Key payroll and benefit elements. The budget maintains competitive compensation and supports employee retention through the addition of 1 accountant 1 position, a proposed 2% increase to the classification and compensation schedule, up to a 4% merit increase based on performance evaluations, a mandated 0.75% increase in employer retirement contributions, anticipated premium increases in our insurance of 20% medical, 10% dental, and 5% vision, continuing a 4% employer match for the 401k participants in the program, and a continued $500 a month limit on employee medical out-of-pocket costs.
I have a question down this way, if you can.
Yes, sir.
So within the budget, I read where it says staff expects to recommend measured adjustments to future budget cycles. Can you quantify that?
Where was that, please, sir?
It was on page, I forget the exact page, I didn't write the page down. It was in the verbiage when it talked about making adjustments in future cycles, increases. We had no adjustments for this budget cycle.
Okay, so are you referring to, so as a result, so on page 29, the 3rd paragraph, it says, as a result, staff expects to recommend measured multi-year rate adjustments in future budget cycles to support regulatory compliance and maintain long-term financial resilience.
So
Is that correct?
Quantify that.
Quantify that?
Yes.
We anticipate rate increases in the future to cover these expenses based on regulatory requirements such as PFAS and funding for PFAS primarily, as well as for maintaining our long-term financial resiliency for our capital improvement projects and maintenance of our utility infrastructure, pipes, for example, manholes, those type of things. Anything further?
Yes, sir. I also know there's a request to add a billing and customer service supervisor. Can you walk us through that gap analysis while we need that?
Sure. We presently have 1 person on staff that's handling both the billing and the customer service supervising. And we've had that in place for many, many years. And basically what we're finding is that we have an increasing number of duties and responsibilities for the accounting portion in the finance department, and the same is growing in our customer service area. And we've looked at this, and we just do not feel that it's It's doing us well in terms of the customer service area or finance to have one person trying to manage this. So we've seen this type of growth over the years, and we think that this is positioning ourselves well. The one person that we have as far as the accountant is really a reclassification of one position, then adding another position for customer service supervisor. So if you would envision somebody that's up front with our customer service staff, and not only to help with customer service issues, but should there be an additional customer service issue, the supervisor can maintain that. They can also be available to jump in as necessary to help our customer service team. Sometimes we get an overflow in the phone calls that are coming in, so being able to move in that direction as well. So we've recognized for a couple of years that we need to make some improvements in our customer service area. So this is one improvement that we're making to lean in that direction, as well as the improvements we've made over this last year to our customer service software and billing software that we instituted.
You know, the utility engineer operational managers, can you give us a status on where that's at?
And what is that, please?
Utility engineer operations manager's position.
Oh, sure. Okay, so you're jumping to a chart further in the document.
I'm sorry, I can hold that question if you like.
Yeah.
Continue.
That's all right. I mean, I can address that now if you would like. Let me just get to that page so that the board members can see that as well.
66.
So on page 66 of your agenda book, so we're talking about the currently approved FY 25-26 organizational chart. And so the question regards utility engineer, operations manager, and the unfunded status of that. We, up until I think it was 2023, had a utility engineer that was working for us for several years. It was a new position brought on in late 2021. And it worked out very well for us to have a utility engineer. We saw that position as being very much necessary for our operations. We lost that person to another organization. We tried to replace that position for about 18 months, and we've been unsuccessful in that. So it's been very competitive since 2021, 2022 in terms of the technical specialists that we have and the market that we have with engineers. So what we've done is we've kept that position on our organizational chart and shown the importance of that. But what we've also done is, since we know that we're challenged in the market space with trying to find that position competitive at the market rate, which is really the key here, we've relied more heavily on consulting firms basically to help us. So we shifted a lot of this to those firms, and I took that engineering position vacancy that we had and recommended to the board several fiscal years ago that we move that position up to an assistant director. And so we've created an assistant director to help manage that. So the assistant director, Chris Summerlin, who's on board with us, helps to manage now basically our operations, our project manager, and our utilities for us. So Chris and I are starting to recognize, especially this year, as we continue to take on more and more projects and responsibilities, it sure would be nice to have a utility engineer on board to help us also work with all the consulting engineers that we have. So I want to keep it there so that we don't forget about that position. And at some point, we hope to be able to fund that and find that position.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions? Okay. I will pick up on where I was on page 31 of the agenda, the operating expenses and capital outlay. So the budget reflects targeted cost adjustments to sustain efficient service delivery. The areas with decreases include some capital outlay, repairs and maintenance, traditional debt service, software and technology costs. We see insurance-related cost increases, 13% increase over last year in property and liability insurance, and an 86% increase in workers' compensation premiums proposed for this fiscal year. Equipment investments total $75,900 for replacement or procurement of operational equipment. And once again, the bond anticipation notes or ban-related costs, we've identified for you the interest expense of $1 million, the interest earnings of $525,000, and a net impact of $651,000 funded through our CIP. Looking ahead, our 3 to 5 year outlook, SGWASA faces several strategic priorities over the next 5 years, which include advancing CIP planning for the future water treatment plant, looking at administrative facility relocation, preparing for evolving regulatory requirements, sustaining progress toward 100% depreciation funding, maintaining rate stability while addressing long-term capital pressures, and continuing organizational strengthening through training, technology, and workforce development. More specifically, focusing on PFAS compliance, capital funding, and rate planning. SGWASA's preliminary planning shows that the estimated $25 to $30 million PFAS advanced treatment facility will require a combination of grants, SRF loans, USDA financing, and local funding. While external funding will reduce the overall burden, it will not eliminate the need for local contribution. To maintain affordability and financial resiliency, staff anticipates recommending incremental rate adjustments over multiple years as part of a structured rate smoothing plan. This approach will allow SGWASA to meet federal PFAS standards, manage long-term debt responsibility, and minimize customer impacts by avoiding large one-time increases. In conclusion, the FY 2026-27 proposed budget reflects SGWASA's disciplined financial stewardship, commitment to operational excellence, and readiness for the emerging regulatory and infrastructure challenges that lie ahead. By balancing current operational needs with long-term planning, this budget maintains rate stability today while supporting organizational modernization, continued progress towards full depreciation funding, and the foundational work required for upcoming major capital investment. As SGWASA prepares for the federal PFAS treatment requirements and the anticipated $25 to $30 million advanced treatment facility, the coming years will require thoughtful financial planning, pursuit of external funding, and a measured multi-year rate strategy to ensure affordability and resiliency. This year's budget positions the authority to enter the next phase with a strong financial footing and clear direction. I want to thank the board for your continued leadership and partnership as we work to ensure the long-term reliability, sustainability, and resilience of SGWASA's water and wastewater systems. Before we would move to the budget ordinance, I'd be happy to answer any questions the board members have regarding what I've covered so far.
It's Mr. Director, it's not your, just a question of curiosity. The 86% increase in workers' compensation premiums, I'm sure that's a national trend, or what's driving that?
No, that's not a national trend. That's actually an organizational issue for us. Last year, I believe our budget, we had a 26% decrease. This year, we've had an 86% increase. We have some injuries associated with our workers that are related to workers' compensation. And that's basically what that's been related to. So when we have these issues during this financial budget year, then basically they look at our trends and look at our projections and for an increase for next year. So
when you have injuries of that nature, is there any type of safety program in place or putting in place to help mitigate that for future?
Yes, and of course. And in some cases, these are just employee accidents or mishaps that occur. But we always do follow up, of course, with the inspections and any safety protocols reviews that are necessary as well. And we focus on safety every day as part of this business at our facilities and also out in the field with our utilities.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. I have a question about the anticipated premium increases in your medical, dental, and vision. Mm-hmm. You pretty sure this is going to be sufficient? The 20% increase, the 10% on dental, and the 5% on vision?
Well, from all indications that I've had, and I work with our HR manager, Priscilla Adcock, and she's in the audience this evening, but I will say that just to let the board know and the public that we're always in the pursuit throughout the year of what these rates will look like based on our census, based on our own population, based on our use. We start looking at these rates, we anticipate these rates, and from every indication that I've had from our HR manager and our consultant that she works with, these rates, unfortunately, as high as they are realistic at this point for us. Now, I think that the board members may remember over the last several years, we've anticipated some increases around 10%, maybe a little bit higher in medical, and we've come in lower at 7 and 8%. So we've had that trend over the last several years, but the way things are looking in the market space this year, based on our projections in the industry, it looks like our rates are going to be higher. So of course, we hope to come in lower with those rates. And I'd like to remind the board that once we pass the budget, and potentially at our May meeting, maybe June, I then come back to the board members at the following meeting, and then get your approval to enter contracts for these services. And at that point, then we have these final numbers that we can share with the board. And we also get past open enrollment, so we understand basically what our employees are signed up for as far as the services and how they're going to participate. So that is yet to come.
Yeah, and I realize these don't coincide with our budget process. They come due, or they come up for renewal after we've gone through our budget process. So we have to work with a anticipated increase each year.
That is correct.
So that brings up one question for me. Do we have someone that is so-called our safety officer?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I think that ultimately, or initially, it's our assistant executive director and then myself that are recognized as that, as far as that responsibility. And we have safety plans. We have our HR manager that works with all of our superintendents on safety plans and review of safety plans, as well as training.
Just, if you had 2 accidents last year and then 15 this year, then that's just a large jump. So I'm just, what did that really equate in numbers? I mean, it's just, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but right.
It may not be on a number, financial numbers wise, a bigger deal as it looks.
Right, and we didn't mention 15 was, those were numbers that you just used as an example, correct?
Right, yeah,
Okay.
those are examples.
Okay. So Priscilla, our
Right.
HR manager. Priscilla?
This is based on the number of employees too. So our safety sensitive employee number is higher than administrative, such as myself. With just 50 employees, 2 accidents in 3 years it affects the rates pretty bad. And the 2 things that happen, the training and anything we've done, sometimes especially those 2 things, I don't see how they could have been prevented. You know, when it's raining and they're out there trying to pump a pump station that's overflowing and they're pulling hoses and things like that, it's tough for those guys. I think we've done really well considering, since I've been here since 2021, that we haven't had anything major until this last 3 years.
So just for clarification, I was using a hypothetical number, so you've had really a low number.
Very, but to a workplace that has 500 people versus 50, 2 is much worse. Just like with medical insurance, the more people you have, the better your rates are. It depends on age and health factors and things like that too. So we're definitely trying and looking and doing all the homework to get the best rates and shopping. So I'm very diligent about that, and I try to do the best thing for SGWASA and the employees.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, and in terms of dollars, if I may, that's increasing from $43,000 to $80,000 projected. So just to give you an idea of that percent, what that value was.
Okay, that equates to.
Oh, we should have the rates back by Friday. I got that email late this afternoon.
That's what I
Or better.
that's what I was
Thank you, Priscilla.
Yeah, I was gonna ask the question, what was the increase?
Thank you. Sure.
The future water treatment plant. We're building a new one?
I didn't hear the question,
The
please.
future water treatment plant, we building a new one?
We will need to build a new one, yes. We have an 80 plus year old plant. As you're aware, you've been there, you've toured that facility before. I think that if we are, I don't think that we're going to go beyond 100 years.
With that facility, we're already at 80 plus years for that facility. So that's something that we're looking at.
Well, thank God we did the upgrade. That gave us a little bit more time.
Correct.
You said that like, kind of that was a Band-Aid for temporary?
No, not at all. I think that one of the questions that came up previously, so let's understand the upgrade that the board approved back in 21-22 for us, and this was focused on disinfection byproducts and that process. And we spent
2020.
Excuse me?
2020. I remember the date
2020?
vividly.
In terms of, it took us about a year to finish up the project. So yes, let's just say 2020. So we spent close to $15 million on that project to address that. And that was the result of engineering studies from previous years with disinfection byproducts and violations that SGWASA had regarding that. So that process was specific to disinfection byproducts removal. Now it's improved disinfection byproducts and the grit and the removal and the overall water quality of the water treatment plant, which is fantastic. Being a separate process, it was designed and put in the position that regardless of what we do with the water treatment plant, should we build a new one adjacent to the existing one, we can still use that infrastructure that was put in. For that. So it's not a stranded cost for that capital infrastructure that was put in place. It can be used again. That's been the whole idea behind the design for that.
Any more questions down this way? This way?
Okay. Turning to page 33 in our agenda book, we have the budget ordinance. I would like the Finance Director, Richard Ballmer, to come forward and just walk you through page 34, 35, and a couple of charts following. So Richard, Finance Director, welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good to see you, everyone.
He wants you to say the number, so in case I mess up,
He
it'll be
puts me
you.
up here when I get it up.
Too many numbers.
Scott, are we reading the official ordinance in for the public hearing, or do you want me to read the entire thing now?
Great question. So let me just pause. So for this evening on our agenda, we have the official public hearing for our proposed budget. And that item is coming up later in the agenda. At that point, during the public hearing, we will actually read the full budget ordinance.
Okay.
At that point, we have a production for that. So what I would like you to do, Richard, at this point, if you would just kind of focus on some of the high points of this ordinance, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, so as Scott mentioned in the executive summary, the revenues are increasing, water sales are increasing $150,000, revenue for sewer, $200,000, and there's $75,900 for capital improvement. You'll see that the total water revenues is $6,650,000, wastewater revenues $9,750,000. Non-billing revenue, just for everybody's reminder, that is all your fees, legal fees, non-payment fees, inspection fees, all those types of fees. That billing revenue is projected to be $614,500, interest income $650,000, on a transfer from the fund balance to use for $221,511. One thing about that item that is, as Scott mentioned in the executive summary, that is a combination of unfunded depreciation expense. So it's not a true cash outflow, if you will, even though it's reflected on the ordinance. It's not going to affect cash availability. The expenses are roughly in line with where they were last year. Overall expenses for the whole budget is down about $1 million from last year's total expense budget, and that's mostly because capital outlay and large R&M last year. I won't go through each of the departments, but you'll see that the total revenues is $17,886,011. Total expenditures the same number. And you'll see the two new departments in the budget that Scott mentioned earlier. We're splitting finance and public information officer out of admin. They used to be combined all into one, but now it's much easier to manage and more transparent if we split them out and manage them separately. Any questions on the ordinance? If we have none, there are several charts in the budget book. I'll just hit a highlight on each one, but feel free to stop me if you have specific questions. On the projected revenue, you'll see that the water revenues account for about 37% of total revenues. Wastewater is 55% of total revenues. The non-billing revenue is 3%, interest income about 4%, and you'll see that fund balance use of 1%.
Next slide. Projected expenses. You'll see that the expenses break down. About 32% is personnel and benefits, 32% is operating expenses, 17% is capital improvement and depreciation, with the largest part is at the end depreciation, and debt service sits at about 19%.
Below 20, that's good.
Okay, the next section is repairs and maintenance. We have general, just a reminder to the board, we have general repairs and maintenance budgets in each department, each function, but we also highlight anything that's kind of named in the budget specifically. Most of the time those are larger expenditures that are not going to come out of the general R&M budget. And you'll see those listed here. They total $175,775. Nothing extremely large except as a generator rehabilitation at the wastewater plant. Next slide is capital outlay. The same thing, we try to highlight all capital outlay that's going to be purchased during the year. And you'll see that there. There's not a lot to it. If you remember last year, it was well over $1 million. This year, it's a total of about $75,900, which we highlighted in the ordinance. Any questions on any of that budgetary information?
So, I guess this is Scott or Chris or somebody's question. Sotheby's Pump Station rehabilitation, that is because the Rains Crossing is not going to build the bigger pump station that they had originally planned for?
That is correct.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah. Couldn't answer that one for you. I wouldn't be.
You want to answer that one?
No, nothing about pump stations except how much they cost. If we don't have any other questions on actual budgetary numbers, we'll talk about rates. You want me to cover the rate changes, fee changes?
Sure, let's just make sure there are no other questions or comments.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay. We brought to the Finance Committee that we do not have a proposed rate increase, but there was some discussion about increasing some fees. On page 54 of your book, you should see a red line version of the two fees that was proposed by the Finance Committee to change. The first being a late fee, which is currently $15, and currently $10 going to $15. And the second section near the bottom is the disconnection, reconnection, non-payment fee, going from $75 to $100. And those have been included in the projected revenue numbers at the increased amounts. And that is the only changes to the rate schedule, rate fee schedule.
Just a comment, Richard, while you're standing there. So I just want the board to also realize that when we do present our budget to the board for approval, it also includes the board approving the schedule of rates, fees, and charges at the same time. So you'll see in a recommendation, and we look for a motion to include this as well, since these fees and these rates support basically our revenues that we have in there. Thank you.
Any questions on the rates? If not, I think that's it for the budget presentation.
That's just about it. I would like to cover, thank you, Richard. I appreciate you covering those items for us. I would like to move to page 66 and 67 in your agenda. And we touched on page 66 somewhat previously in the meeting when we talked about the utility engineer operations manager. I think it's worth viewing this again. So on page 66 is the board approved FY 25-26 organizational chart that includes 52 full-time equivalents, that's the FTE, 0 part-time equivalents or PTE, 0 contract, and there's 1 unfunded. So you can see our chart on page 66. What we are proposing is on page 67. This is the FY 26-27 organizational chart. Starting at the top left, you will see a table that shows the board approved values. Again, FTE 52. Referenced and requested for this upcoming fiscal year is an FTE of 53, part-time equivalent 0, contract 0, and once again, 1 is unfunded. The structural change within the document, you will see a red arrow on the left side of your chart, about halfway down the page. And you can see under the finance director, the assistant finance director, We have actually split off to the left the account 1 reclassified an existing position, and to the right we have added the billing customer service supervisor, and you can see who that supervisor is basically in charge of as far as our utility billing specialists and our customer service representatives in that line. So I just wanted you to appreciate that. Those are the proposed organizational chart changes this year to our budget. Any questions or comments?
So the 2 utility tech positions that we added last year have been filled?
Yes.
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry. What was
I
the
said, so the 2 utility tech positions we approved last year have been filled, yeah.
And I would just like to make the comment that once the board approves the budget, a supplementary document that we bring to the board basically is adjustment to the classification and pay schedule and also the organizational chart. So the board will have an opportunity to review this again and actually approve the classification schedule, which is the pay classification, the positions on that chart, and also the organizational chart. So that's a companion document that follows the budget approval.
Anybody got any questions? All right. I guess we're going to open the public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 26-27.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So in our public hearing steps, we're going to read out loud or to have a video presentation on screen. Our PIO is preparing that, board secretary to run that. And following at the conclusion of that, then the public comment period will then open and we will manage that for us. So Krista, will you let us know when you're ready?
This is a presentation of the annual budget ordinance for fiscal year 2026 through 2027 for the South Granville Water and Sewer Authority. It is estimated that the following revenues will be available in the Water and Sewer Fund for the fiscal period beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027. In comparison to the approved fiscal year 25-26 budget, fiscal year 26-27 water sales and sewer use charges were estimated using a revenue increase of $150,000 for water, a revenue increase of $200,000 for sewer, and $75,900 for capital. Revenues are reported as follows. Water revenues, $6,650,000. Wastewater revenues, $9,750,000. Non-billing revenue, $614,500. Interest income, $650,000. The total appropriated transfer amount from the fund balance is reported at $221,511. with revenues totaling $17,886,011. The following amounts are hereby appropriated in the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund for the fiscal period beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027. Expenditures reported by department. Administration, Department 7110, $855,516. Finance, Department 7112, $546,680. Human Resources, Department 7114, $159,089. Public Information Officer, Department 7116, $134,242. Engineering, Department 7118, $520,563. Billing and Collections, Department 7120, $511,874. Water Treatment Plant, Department 7133, $2,376,701. Wastewater Treatment, Department 7145, $2,827,420. Utilities, Meter Reading, Department 7136, $175,772. Waterline Maintenance, Department 7139, $1,095,048. Sewer Line Maintenance, Department 7140, $1,109,227. Pump Stations and Towers, Department 8000, $948,383. Depreciation Board Other, Department 7200, $3,206,361. Projects and Studies, Department 7300, $3,500. Debt Service, Department 7500, $3,415,635, with total expenditures being reported at $17,886,011. The grand totals of estimated revenues and other financing sources and expenditures, as well as other financing uses for all funds for the fiscal period beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027, are shown on screen, with revenues reporting at $17,886,011 and expenditures balanced at $17,886,011. The Executive Director shall have the authority to reallocate appropriations between line items except for salary and benefits within a department up to a maximum of $10,000. Such reappropriations must be recorded like other appropriations and reported quarterly at a Board of Directors meeting after the funds are moved. All transfers must be in accordance with the North Carolina General Statutes. The Executive Director shall not have any authority to appropriate fund balance or to increase total appropriations. The Finance Director shall establish and maintain all financial records which are in accordance with this ordinance and in accordance with appropriate state statutes of the state of North Carolina. Visit SGWASA.org for more.
Good job,
That was fantastic, Crystal.
Excellent.
All right, so then, Mr. Chair, then moving on to item number 3.
And I don't smoke.
Item number 3 in your public hearing steps then. Thank you.
68 through 70. Is there any public comment?
Are there any requests to speak to us for that? None?
Ms. Bailey, if you would step forward and state your name and your address, please.
Good evening, Lynn Bailey, 221 12th Street here in Butner. You all know me. This is tangential at best, only because you mentioned it in the budget. It relates to the increase in fees, for late fees and things. So I've brought this up before. You all know that I walk my dog every morning, and I see that drop box cleared as early as 7:30 in the morning, when it should be cleared after 8 o'clock. That means that some people might drop their stuff in that box at 7:55 and get a late fee. I've asked for this to be addressed before. And plus, whatever time the mail is delivered, I think that the deadline should be the same as the mail drop, because picking out the stuff in that box at the beginning of the day, there's people that drive by during the day and pop their mail in there. But to then actually incur a late fee because the box is cleared too early. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the subsidy on the insurance. I know the board did this to try and attract employees and keep it, but as someone in the private sector, I mean, that's a really good deal. 500 is very low. I'd like to know what that translates into dollar amounts for our budget. How much are we actually subsidizing the employees for their insurance? Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may, I think there were some inconsistencies about the Dropbox and collections of payments. Richard Ballmer, Finance Director, would you feel comfortable coming up and talking about our late fee process and the collection of our Dropbox, just so that we can get that on the record, please?
Sure. Our staff does check the box when they first get here at 7:30, 4:08. They also check it throughout the day. Our late fees are not, and non-payment fees are not applied at 8 o'clock. They're applied at 5 p.m. that day. And we do check the box at 5:05, between 5 and 5:05 on any fee day. So anyone who has dropped a payment in that box before 5 o'clock gets credit for that payment and doesn't get assessed a fee.
Thank you.
Did you want to answer any other questions on her statement?
No, I don't have the information this evening for the board as far as the financial input. I believe that we talked about the potentially at our March 13th Finance Committee meeting, but I have to go back and look at that information, so I'll go back and take a look at that and see what information I can provide to the board. If the board is interested in having that information, if they are, they can let me know.
Yes.
And who are you?
Thank you.
Mr. Gleason.
My name is Ed Gleason. I live at 1973 Bowles Avenue in Creedmoor, North Carolina. This was a razzle-dazzle presentation of the budget.
Thank you.
But we can go back to your first presentation and the conclusion section, the middle paragraph, which basically says, we're going to be okay this year, but we got stuff coming up that we really got to think about. It's nice to be in a position where you can keep people's rates as they are, keep taxes where they are, but we also have to realize that although I might not have to worry about it in the years to come, there are people in my family that will. I look at just a couple things, and I didn't do my homework, which I should have done, and looked at last year's budget amendments and how much was taken out of the capital reserve fund during the year to make up shortfalls in the budget. I didn't look at that, but I'm sure there were some. And in this year's budget, just a couple quick figures. One being the $231,000, which again, I'm really baffled here, and I've been trying to get this in my head for a dozen years, how the capital reserve or funds work with this organization versus other organizations, but I probably won't get that. But the bottom line is $231,000 was coming out of some fund, and $650,000 was listed as interest. I live in a country where I saw interest rates drop 2% in 30 days. And that $650,000 then becomes $300,000. And we were part of it in Creedmoor when you figured much money was going to come in from your investments, and the interest rate went right through the tubes, and that money had to be made up from fund balance. So my concern is not with this budget, and not with the fact that you're going to maintain the rates. That's great for everybody. But the bottom line is, we really want to give the people clean water. Well, then we have to make sure that we do the PFAS and whatever, which is going to cost us a lot of money. So I just want to just kind of bring that up. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Mrs. Bailey.
Repeat offender, I know, I'm sorry.
I just got your name right here, so
Can we do it again? Angie Bailey, 601 12th Street. I had a couple questions. You had said that you do not have currently a utilities manager, but you are creating a utilities manager. It's an open place so that they can consult with your consulting firms. And then the next sentence, you said that hopefully that would make the consulting firms be able to go away. So are we going to be paying for consulting firms and a VP, executive utilities guy that's going to talk to the consulting firms? Because that seems like it's doubling up. The other question I had is, yes, I do work for a private sector. It is a small business, 50 people or less, depending on our fluctuations. And I want to go work for SGWASA just to set y'all on fire at this point, because I pay a lot for medical out of my pocket. And then I pay 20% on top of that if I have to have something done. For y'all to sit here and say that you only pay and cap at $500, that's obscene to me, especially with what's going on. People are going without food right now because they have to do stuff with medical. And you're capping it at $500. I'm not here to subsidize SGWASA's medical plans. It's just unfair. It's misleading. I can't even wrap my head around the fact that you guys only paid $500 out of pocket for a year. I put out $4,000 for a half a day procedure out of pocket, and that's with my insurance. And I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. I have insurance. So I feel like y'all need to go back and square up somewhere. I know that you're trying to retain people, but jobs are becoming more and more scarce. So I feel like there's a flood of people that need a job maybe, and that you are portioning such an amount to retain people or to say that you got a good benefits package. Butner is a city of 8,100 people. Creedmoor is about 5,000. So where do you, in all of this, do you think that that budget should include paying for somebody's medical care like that when nobody else is doing that? Nobody. I really wish you guys would go back, think about this, and come back with something better that is not the patrons that are paying so much out of their pockets for their own medical and then subsidizing yours as well. That seems grossly unfair to me. Thank you.
Can I have the HR representative come up and speak on that?
That was just a lot. It's a lot of, sorry, I'm gonna have to slow that down and go one by one. I don't know, where should I start?
I will speak to the engineering portion when it's time, but I think that if you have something that you would want to speak towards in terms of the out-of-pocket that employees have and the program that was introduced by the board several years ago to help offset some of those costs that we were facing for those different insurance tiers, that would be helpful if you want to just keep it to that. That'd be okay, Mr. Chair?
That would be great.
Okay.
The biggest thing, the employees that we have, the biggest percentage of our employees make $47,000 or less a year. That's pretty tough to manage a family, even coverage for your family. When family coverage is over $1,000 a month. I've been in local government since 2006. That's always been a benefit that paying the insurance because we don't get bonuses. We're not for profit. We don't get all these Christmas bonuses and all these things. You know, we sit here and, you know, people talk about all these great things they do in the private sector. I'm like, wow, that's great. You know, we pinch pennies all the time. I drive my vehicle constantly and never get gas money back. You know, and I've been doing that for a long time. And so with this, we lost a great engineer because the family insurance was so expensive. So now here we are in 2026, we can't get an engineer. So we are having to pay these outside places to come in and help us. You know, insurance is just outrageous for everybody. Even people that go out to the marketplace. It's just increasing for everybody. It's not just us. And so it is the little things that we do, like saying, okay, if you can cover your family, and I think there may be 5 or 6 employees, maybe.
That was going to be my next question.
It's very little because there are a lot of, most families of both parents are working. And there's generally the spouse has coverage. And so these families, we all sit down and go, what's better? What should we do this year? I'll do this much for flex spin and you do this much so we can pay for braces and glasses and all the other things.
That is $500 a month, right? Not $500 a year.
Right. So they just, we cap it at that and tell them instead of paying $1,000, you know, 500.
And Priscilla, it used to be, we're only talking about the family coverage. We're not talking about individual employees. Every individual doesn't have a $500 payout. The $500 we reduced from $1,500 for a family coverage. We reduced it from $1,500 to $500.
Right.
But all our employees are covered. They don't pay every one of our employees doesn't pay $500. That's just for the family plan. And like you said, we only have 4 or 5 people that are on that plan. So it wasn't explained well enough before, but when you break it down and you know it, it's for family. We've had one employee, we had 2 employees when we lost one because we went to a family plan and it was $1,500 a month that he had to pay to keep the insurance. And the board dropped it down to $500.
Right.
But it's only for families. If it's an individual employee, like you said, if it's a husband works here, he's covered. if his wife works somewhere else, she's covered.
Generally, if she has insurance,
Yeah.
now you can cover, there are employee spouse, employee children, and then employee family.
Right.
So whatever that amount, they pay up to $500 for that extra.
Just for
They pay that much. We don't cover any of that
Right.
except for what that overage is.
Right.
That doesn't include dental or vision, nothing like that.
I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
How does our health insurance coverage and benefits to the employees at SGWASA compare to the town of Butner, city of Creedmoor, Granville County, Durham?
Again, that's hard to, because of the number. You have to look at the number of employees. It also looks at the age of the employees and their dependents. So there's a lot that goes into that. And the more employees you have, the better rates you get. We've looked into several things. NCHIP is a local government pool of insurance, but because we're considered an authority, they say that we are not eligible, which is sad. That's a shame, because we could really cut costs and really do a lot if they would just consider an authority as part of being in this pool.
The question I have is what we provide for our employees.
Mm-hmm.
How does it compare?
Well, I mean, and I don't really know as far as other plans. I try to do the best thing. When I got here, we were paying $40 to go see the doctor, just a regular medical doctor. So when we shop these plans, I have to give and take. I have to say, okay, well, I think, this person, if I can get it to where it's a $25 copay, well, then that means x-rays, labs, and blood work. All of that goes towards their deductible. So they're paying out of pocket already, 20% just for that. We're not.
Yeah, I can't speak for Butner or Creedmoor, but the coverage for the county is very similar to what the county employees have is very similar to what SGWASA has.
Okay.
I assume Butner and Creedmoor are the same because we all compete for the same employees.
At this point,
No, I can't speak to
without
that.
having the policy in hand.
Yeah.
And we do compete for the same employees. These operators for water and sewer.
So we have to keep our benefits in line in order to compete for the employees and to keep the employees. One of the biggest problems we had when I first came on this board in 2017 was turnover. Our turnover rates were through the roof. We were basically training people for other water systems, water and sewer systems.
All right, I can speak on behalf of the city of Durham.
You can?
Because I get paid by the city of Durham.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my insurance every month, and I have the highest plan that's offered by the city of Durham. I pay $53.16 every 2 weeks.
I think you got better than we got here. So.
Yeah.
I do have.
But you got a lot more employees.
I do have a whole lot more employees.
And I have a better example. My ex-husband's in the private sector. He covers our child. He had a terrible golf cart accident a few years ago. We only had to pay $500 out of pocket, but that's in the private sector. They were grandfathered in when the Affordable Care Act started, so they could still manage their own plan. So it's a lot of that that's really made a difference too, when all that comes into play.
And we made the change for recruitment and retention purposes.
Absolutely. And I'll pat myself on the back that turnover has been very minimal since I got here. I've been in this industry since 2006. I started at the bottom as a secretary for the engineer at the city of Henderson. So I've seen from the bottom to here how it works.
And I'll piggyback on the state. I pay $65 a month. If I had a family of $765.
I would just like to comment too. Thank you, Priscilla. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Every month I basically report to the board in my monthly report what our vacancy rate is. And we hover around the 94 to 97% rate just to show you what's going on. And it's very high. You're always going to have that turnover for 1 or 2 employees, which we see, transient employees, I hate to say it, jumping for $1.50 to move from organization to organization. But that program that the board approved several years ago with that insurance program has really helped us with the retention. It sure has, and that's what you want to do as far as building your organization. So I would like to just, if I may, just speak briefly about the engineer.
Yes, sir.
Engineer manager. As I've discussed with the board over the years, it's a balance that you have to strike between the staffing that you have and relying on outside experts and consultants. And I've talked to the board for many years about the need for an engineer on staff. The previous executive director was an engineer. I am not an engineer. So those duties have to go to somebody. We saw that from the organization. We lean heavily on engineering firms. They have the muscle, they have the horsepower. So we were faced with, do you build an engineering department, which we didn't want to do, or do you source what you need on your in your agency that is cost effective to provide that service? And that's where we end up all the time. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I can tell you that the city of Creedmoor has an engineer, and a lot of times he can't engineer certain projects, and we have to hire outside engineers. So it happens everywhere. It's frustrating, and I know I've asked you numerous times, why are we paying these people? Why don't we get our own? And that's exactly what, and I've said it in our Creedmoor meetings. Why can't he do it? Why do we have to hire somebody outside? But we all learn there's different types of engineers.
Right.
So it is frustrating, and it is unbelievable sometimes, but it's nature of the beast. Close the hearing.
Anyone else to speak on from the public hearing? I will close the public comment period for the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So next steps, I request that SGWASA board members adopt the fiscal year 26-27 budget prior to midnight on June 30th, 2026. So you have in front of you 2 regular scheduled meetings, one in May and one in June, which will give you an opportunity to approve the budget. Should you not approve the budget during one of those regular meetings, we will schedule regular special meetings, basically to hold to have those discussions and seek an approval. Again, stressing that we need that budget prior to midnight on June 30th, 2026. I think that concludes our budget information that we have presented this evening for agenda item 12. Lastly, I just want to thank my team. They did a fantastic job this year, as always, preparing the budget. My finance director, the assistant finance director, the assistant executive director, as well as the HR manager, all of our superintendents, our PIO. Thank you very much. It's a great team effort. I would just like to remind the board that we don't just start the budgeting process last month. We start the process in September. So we get a head start in July on our new budget, and we start thinking about and actually forming our budget for the upcoming fiscal year in September. And the Finance Committee knows that as well. We've already talked about having some Finance Committee meetings coming up in September, October, to talk about some of the projects that we have already discussed in the past at recent meetings, PFAS, Item 5, Northern Interceptor, those type of projects. So thank you again for your attention and your focus this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 13, request to purchase 1 tractor with front-end loader. And I believe Chris is going to take care of this.
All right. I just want to get up. I think it's done. Yeah, it looks like the batteries are about dead in this. But so this is a request to purchase 1 tractor with a front-end loader from Premium Equipment Company. And so we're seeking Board of Directors approval to purchase 1 tractor with a front-end loader from Premier Equipment Company in Rocky Mount for a total cost of $57,225. We are requesting approval to purchase a New Holland Workmaster 75 tractor from this respective company here. They are the lowest bidder, and this tractor supports essential sewer line maintenance operations. The 25-26 budget includes $79,500 for this purchase, and staff recommended proceeding with a not to exceed amount of $57,225, including contingency. A little analysis: the new tractor with front end loader is essential to our infrastructure, as we have to maintain water and sewer outfalls and easements by mowing and keeping trees from growing into the easements. Procurement: we try to purchase from dealerships that offer either North Carolina State contract pricing or North Carolina Sheriff's Association contract pricing and terms. We reached out to 3 different vendors. The chosen vendor actually was on, I believe it was Sheriff's Association contract, Premier Equipment Company. Contract award will be based on the best proposal, most advantageous to SGWASA as determined by consideration of price, general reputation and performance capabilities of the contractor, and conformity with intent of specifications. Premier Equipment Company of Rocky Mount was the lowest respective bidder. The following table provides information about the equipment that we recommend for purchase. So as you can see here, there's 3 different equipment, three different tractors listed here from 3 different vendors. This is the lowest price, $54,500, not including contingency. So we are recommending that you approve us to purchase the New Holland tractor from Premier Equipment Company for $54,500 with a 5% contingency of $2,725 for a not to exceed amount of $57,225. The attachments that we have, there's a picture of the tractor for your reference. We have the 3 quotes laid out here. One from Premier Equipment, the next one from James River Equipment for a John Deere tractor, the third one from Barnes Equipment for a Kubota tractor. And then the last attachment that we have is where this is housed in the budget. As you can see, the capital outlay, we stipulated $79,500 for the original purchase, and we're coming in at $54,500 plus an additional potential 5% contingency.
Any questions?
I was going to say motion to approve.
Second.
All right, is there any questions?
Yes. I fail to understand why we have compared 3 different brands of tractors from 3 different suppliers. It's like comparing a Ford to a Chevy to a Kia. And I don't understand this. And I am going to request this stop now. If you want a John Deere tractor, I want John Deere prices from 3 approved dealers. And we want a wood Workmaster, then we get comparative prices. But you've got 3 different types of tractors, 3 different dealerships, and in my opinion, those prices don't compare, because I don't know what Premier would charge for a John Deere or what James River would charge for a Workmaster. Maybe don't carry that brand, but I would think that your first option would be determine what brand you need and what brand you want, and then go find it that way. But I'm going to ask you, Scott, this needs to stop. If we're going to, you're comparing apples and oranges here. You're not comparing, I know the tractor does the same thing. I got that. But don't compare different brands. Like I said, it's comparing a Chevy with a Ford with a Kia.
The question I would have, when you put it out for bid, what specifications did you give? Horsepower?
Horsepower, front end loader.
Front end loader.
Yep.
Those kinds of issues.
Correct. And just a general consensus. Okay, general discussion on this. So I understand your point. The way that dealers are nowadays, especially John Deere, there are only so many John Deere dealers in North Carolina.
Okay.
James River, East Coast Equipment, a lot of which follow the same pricing. So if I go to James River Equipment, they have a James River in Durham, there's one in Raleigh, there's one here. They all provide the same pricing.
Okay.
Okay, that is not, I can do that, but that will not provide you the comparison that you are looking for, I don't think. Again, we're going to, we try as best we can to go to dealers that provide the best pricing via North Carolina state contract, via North Carolina Sheriff's Association contract, some of which offer different products. Not the dealers themselves. There's some dealers that offer Kubotas and John Deere's and blah, blah, blah. But on state contract or on Sheriff's Association contract, there are different manufacturers. And so to be transparent about everything, we try to encompass all of that to say, okay, we need a 75 horsepower tractor. We're not going to limit ourselves to this specific brand, because if you limit yourself to this specific brand, you may be not considering something that is well below price-wise and provides you the same value that you might get in something.
Okay.
Again, I can start doing stuff with Caterpillar or with John Deere but I don't think that's transparent enough for what you're asking for.
No, if you put out a,
just go ahead and finish. I'm not trying to interrupt you.
you better not.
He knows.
If you put out specs for a 75 horsepower tractor and people come back with, I got this one, I got that one, I got this one, and then you decide which brand, or what we do is we go by price. So now I understand it. Thank you for explaining it to me.
So
What you got?
So we're okay with how we've been doing this,
Yes.
Commissioner?
Well, now I understand.
We don't have to stop that.
Stop.
Doing it the way we're
Stop.
doing it.
Stop
Okay,
it.
thank you.
I don't have anything else.
I didn't think so.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Chris.
So we have a first and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none. Everybody that agrees, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody that opposes, likewise. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Sumner. Item number 14, PFAS Pilot 2 DEQ Resolution of Acceptance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, board members, this evening we have 3 items related to this project in PFAS. We have agenda item 14, agenda item 15, and agenda item 16. 14 talks about the resolution of acceptance, 15 is a task order for approval, and 16 is a budget amendment. I would like to mention that the 2 gentlemen sitting in the front row are from CDM Smith, our contract engineers for our PFAS project. We have John Brinkley, professional engineer and senior project manager, currently working on our PFAS design project at the water plant, and Trenton A. Jackson, professional engineer, environmental engineer, with us as well this evening. So there is no formal presentation this evening, but I asked them to be here this evening in case the board members had any questions that I could not answer, and they will come forward and answer those for us. So before we do that, I would just like to ask Chris, would you please check the microphone, and if it needs an additional battery, would you see if you could find some batteries for us for that bottom cap on screws? I think it's a 2 AA's or something in there. So I'll start speaking slowly while you replace the batteries. So this topic is the NC Department of Environmental Quality, Division of Water Resources, Granville County PFAS Pilot Evaluation and Planning Study Part 2 Resolution of Acceptance. So the requested action is approval by the board of the resolution of acceptance, which allows us to move forward with the process here. So just in terms of some background information here, SGWASA applied to NCDEQ in the fall of 2023 for $500,000 to conduct a PFAS pilot evaluation and planning study, and the funding was awarded in March of 2024. The initial pilot, PFAS pilot, was completed in 2025 and provided key information for the design of SGWASA's future advanced water treatment facility. The board has had a presentation on PFAS pilot part 1. It was an excellent presentation by CDM Smith. I think that's also recorded and available on our website. To further evaluate additional PFAS reduction technologies for future design considerations when the water demand requires it, SGWASA applied for a second $500,000 grant in May of 2025. NCDEQ awarded this funding in October of 2025. CDM Smith submitted the required scope of work in December 2025, revised it in January for DEQ 2026, and NCDEQ approved the final scope in March of 2026, so just recently. Board approval of the resolution of acceptance is now required to finalize this funding. So as I mentioned when I opened, we have this resolution of acceptance that is a required document to move forward with receiving the grant funding for this. There's also an approval of a task order associated with this grant that will require approval, and there's a budget amendment required as well. Just to remind the board that the grant itself is a reimbursement grant that we have to pay for, so we have to expend the funds and seek those funds for reimbursement. The completion of the scope of the work and submittal of final deliverables for PFAS Pilot Part 2 is January 30th of 2027. In terms of the costs associated with this, the project cost for the pilot evaluation and planning study is $500,000. NCDEQ will provide a grant of this amount for this project. SGWASA is required to pay as part of the grant process, specifically a $10,000 or a 2% closing fee associated with this project. Staff included the $10,000 closing fee in the budget amendment that is found later in this meeting agenda. So you will find in your attachments in Exhibit A the resolution of acceptance, and then B, the NCDEQ conditions and assurances that are referenced in the resolution of acceptance. So I'm asking the Board of Directors to approve the resolution of acceptance for the PFAS pilot evaluation and planning study. Normally the chair reads the resolution, but I can read the resolution if the chair does not want to read the resolution. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have regarding this item.
I believe I had a motion just a second ago.
Okay, make a motion we approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Anybody need discussion?
I just want to say one thing, if I may. I'm glad Invicta Water is part of this pilot too. Thank you so much for that.
Sure. Did you say?
Invicta Water is part of. We have two vendors that we're trying. We'll discuss that next and bring that up. Mention that as well.
We have a motion and a second. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. Motion carries. All right, so I'm guessing we're going to item number 15 now.
That is correct. So this is CDM Smith Contracted Engineering Services for the grant awarded PFAS Pilot Evaluation and Planning Study Part 2, requesting scope of work and fee approval by the board this evening. So of course I will not read to you the background that I just covered here. I think that you're well familiar with what the project is that we're focusing on. Under this expanded phase 2 effort, CDM Smith will pilot 2 additional advanced technologies, one being Invicta Water's foam fractionation and photocatalytic destruction system, and Aqua Aerobics Aqua PRS microsorbent and ceramic membrane system to assess long-term viability, treatment effectiveness, and life cycle costs for SGWASA's future PFAS treatment strategy. These results will inform planning and the design of the authority's future advanced water treatment facility beyond the current project in design. So I've included for the board this evening task order number 2, the consulting services agreement between owner and engineer, beginning on page 91, which is the phase 2 pilot testing program dated December 29th, 2025. So within this task order, you have many categories in terms of project description, the basic services, project meetings, so on and so forth. I would like to turn your attention to page 93, section 202, pilot equipment procurement and assembly. So this section talks about the equipment that we will be testing. I did mention it previously, but we have, as you can see under section 202, the following major pilot equipment is anticipated We have Invicta Water's small pilot system, which is a 10-foot by 14-foot by 8-foot cube. And then we have AASI Aqua PRA PT2 pilot system, 2.5 feet by 3.7 feet by 6.5 feet in height. So those are the two systems that we're bringing in. It's important to note that these proprietary systems basically come in a box. So it's completely different than Pilot Part 1. Pilot Part 1, we set up the equipment within the facility itself and tested the different media. And that's what we ran for over 6 months to look at those results. And that's what's, again, driving basically our design right now to meet our deadline of April 2029. So basically 3 years away, we have to be PFAS free with our water supply. And our engineering firm, the engineering firm working for us, CDM Smith, is currently working on our design contract of just over $3.3 million, which was funded by a grant from the state for $5 million. The board approved that last fall. These are boxes, proprietary equipment that comes in that's basically set into your facility. And of course, it has to be plumbed in, and then it has to be managed. So our engineering team, along with our support staff at our water treatment plant, work on this pilot project for several months. And there's a pilot test plan in here on page 93, and more information here for us.
Can I ask a question to one of the two gentlemen sitting out there?
Yeah.
Have y'all worked with these two before as a pilot program?
Not directly, no.
Not directly.
We've been in.
Please come up and introduce yourself.
John Brakely, CDM Smith. Trent Jackson, CDM Smith. Currently, Invicta, the town of Cary, has been doing I would call it it's a pilot. It's a little bit larger than a full scale. It's not a full scale. It's not a pilot. It's kind of hybrid. It's I think rated at 200 gallons a minute, and they've been running that. But we have not. Oh, can you hear me okay?
The people in the back can't hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay. So no, we have not. So these we will be working with both companies.
Look, don't want to get too far off topic here, but there was an article on the AWWA website a couple months ago, and it was showcasing a product. I believe it was the AASI system. Did you guys happen to read that by chance? Because it comes in a storage container, and I'm just wondering if there's like basically two companies that are doing this now, or if there's like 10 or 15.
You want to speak to that?
So I have not read that article either. The basic principle behind the Aqua PRS is somewhat similar to the powdered activated carbon product that is currently being used at the water plant. But if you think of a grain of powdered activated carbon as, say, the size of a basketball or a beach ball, right? This product is more the size of a golf ball, right? The idea being it has more surface area to get the PFAS to stick to it. In terms of other technologies that are similar to this particular sorbent product, I'm not sure. I haven't heard of a specific other product. I would imagine that there are a decent number of companies trying to develop similar products to this one, though.
I'll try to go back and dig that article out and send it.
Yeah. So Mr. Chair, thank you. I appreciate that. So I would like to just add to this. So someone might ask, well, then why are you doing this one? Well, I've done the research. Okay, I've been researching this since last summer, quite honestly, and looking at these technologies, because as we're leaning towards this direction of these new technologies, and if I mentioned to the board, probably ad nauseum, these new technologies are developing all the time, and we are aware of that. So I discovered this through research and reading, and said, I'm really interested in this technology because it looks similar to what Invicta is doing. Again, these are proprietary, so we can't open the box to see what's going on. And I suggested and had a conversation with Reed Barton at CDM Smith and said, Reed, what do you think about this? Would this be a good opportunity for us, something that we can fit into our next pilot? And he said, yes. And that's how this developed. And that's why we are where we are today. Don't be surprised if in the future we ask for another project and more funding from the state as new technologies come along. Something I want to make sure that I impress upon the board is that we did pilot part 1 that really drives the technology and the design of what we're doing now to meet the EPA requirements of April 2029 for PFAS. So I don't want the board to get the impression that we're going to do a pilot study here, part 2, to discover what's the technology we're going to use to drive the design for this project. We are going to, I believe, finish up our 100% design for our current project.
December of
this year. So we're tracking very hard and fast.
Correct.
To get that completed. This project part 2 will be complete, I think, in testing and report maybe January of 2027.
That's correct.
So it is not, we are not anticipating a design change in this process. But one of the things that we've done, and if you're finished with the engineer's question right now, or do you have more questions for them?
I don't know. Just trying to figure out how this technology, how this intertwines with the design.
Okay.
Where they come together, and does that do anything to cost?
How they come together and what, please?
Does it affect?
That affects cost.
Okay, sure. And I was leaning in that direction.
Okay.
So we one of the things that we've talked about with the board is PFAS removal in the drinking water is very expensive. And we currently are at 7.5 MGD permit, correct? I'm just looking at my engineers to make sure because they're doing all the numbers for us. So our water treatment plant is permitted at 7.5 MGD. We have the ability to draw from the lake about 10 MGD total. We push out on average 3.5, 4 MGD.
About 3
MGD. So I want you to think about those numbers. 7.5 is what we're permitted for. 3 is about 3.5 where we are. So what our challenge is right now is to look at our future growth and our future demand and on our water treatment plant, and also scale what we can afford to do right now to put in the necessary PFAS removal equipment to meet our current demands and future demands, but not all the way up maybe to 7.5, so that we can meet the timetable now of April 2029. We can also look at these new technologies, which may be cheaper, may be cheaper. We don't know enough about them. It may be something that we can introduce in the future as we're past this timeline and as that demand requires that we have these additional PFAS removal technologies. There may be other technologies out there. One thing I want the board to understand as well, with the help of CDM Smith and our team, is that as we're going through design, we're looking at how do we design this facility so that we have expansion capability in the future, so that you site it in the right location, you build the right structure, but you make sure that you can add on to the structure, or there's some additional square footage space that you can add a container. We've got pipes that are leading to the end of the building so that we can add another section. So we're thinking about this modular approach, and we think that's the best approach now. We hope it's affordable. We won't know until we bid it out, and we may have some flexibility if it comes in cheaper. But it's a huge race to get this project done by April of 2020, and completely done on board. So I just wanted to make sure the board had that perspective. I just didn't want you to walk away thinking that these results are going to drive new decisions here on our current pathway, because that's not the case. That would be a major design change, and we're also pursuing funding as well for these things. So we have to get that locked in later this summer as well. So I hope that
kind of what I'm hearing from this, we're trying to be more proactive than reactive.
We always try to be there. That is correct. Yes. And anticipate that.
And we're bumping up a very tight schedule.
Already. Yes.
Correct.
So to change lanes in January, we would never make our goal, and we'd be fined big time by the federal government.
That is correct. And the board has made it clear to keep our foot on the gas with this PFAS removal. And some might ask, well, we've heard things about possibly extending the deadline for 2 years beyond the current. We know nothing about that at this point. We are not moving in that direction. We are focused on where we are today. I've been very pleased with CDM Smith and their team working on this project, Pilot 1, Pilot 2, and also the design so far. And just also want to mention that CDM Smith is our lead engineer on our I-85 project as well, and they're doing a fantastic job, just to throw that in. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
So let me ask a little question. I know that we tested the water in the lake for PFAS.
Mm-hmm.
And I was informed that we are testing it coming out of the plant also. And I don't remember the chart off the top of my head, but there is a difference with the PFAS coming out of the lake, and what we're filtering now is making a bit of a difference. It's just not what the government wants. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah. It's and we suspect that the little bit of PFAS removal you are getting is likely attributable to that powdered activated carbon product that the plant is currently dosing right now for taste and odor control.
So we are doing something.
You are.
Can we quantify how much the difference is?
Yes, we can. We have that in report. We provided that to the entire board in a PFAS pilot report and presentation. I'd be happy to provide that to you, or we can put that information back out where that's accessible. It's a great report because it shows that in graphic terms as far as what Commissioner Kaczynski was referring to. So be happy to do that. Thank you.
Any other questions y'all have? I do. I'm just gonna, when you're gonna ask one of those questions, you don't want to get a pie in your face type scenario, like, oh, you didn't know that. So, but I'm gonna ask you gentlemen, because you get a pie in the face. I want to be confident that we're pursuing a project. And with emerging technology, that we miss something that may actually end up being much less expensive to deliver the final project. And because we are trying to meet this deadline of 2029 and all the trains down the track. But if we have emerging technology, this is way over my head, but it's popping quickly, obviously, that we're going to wake up and say, well, we built a plant for $27 million and we hit our deadline. But emerging technologies then turned on us, and we could have gotten something done, but we're so fearful of missing that deadline that we ended up spending $5-10 million more than what we should have. Are we running that risk,
Commissioner? And I have no pies available for you. Okay, so you're safe. One of the greatest challenges is exactly what you're talking about. And if we did not have the looming deadline, if we had nothing but time in front of us, we would take the next 10, 15, 20 years, if necessary, to tell you what's the best technology when it shows up, okay? We have been surveying the market space. We're looking at what is the best available technology. And not only that, what are some of the additional benefits of granulated activated carbon on our water system as far as improving water quality? And there are some residual benefits from that that's going to increase our water quality at the plant. I wrestle with that every day because I'm looking for the lowest cost, best treatment for SGWASA to meet the deadline. And I hope that you appreciate that the scaled approach that we're taking is not
I want to intervene for just a minute. It sounds, I just heard a gunshot go off outside.
Don't go out the door.
Go out there.
Don't go out the door.
Oh, go check.
Okay.
Stay inside the room, please.
What it sounded
You want to have a seat, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
It sounded like a gunshot went off outside the door. Or either a door slammed.
I think it was the door slam. I didn't hear anything that resembled a gunshot.
Is there somebody else in the building?
Well, I looked at Priscilla, so I knew that she heard the same thing I heard.
Yeah, I think she was just looking because it sounded like the door opened back.
Priscilla, we don't want you to be the guinea pig that walks out the door.
if you want coming in and out.
I don't know what all I can do is come.
That's what I was gonna ask. What did she hear? What did you hear in the back?
I saw a young couple walk from just outside and walk around and went out to the
Okay.
Better be safe than sorry.
Usually during those meetings, we keep the door closed. I think we're hearing a lot more back and forth than we normally do.
The back door was locked when I tried to come in the back door before the meeting ever started.
We keep it locked,
Yeah.
so we only have one entrance.
Tell her to sit down.
I'll take a bullet for you guys. I'm going out.
Oh, no, they couldn't come in through
It
there.
says enough for me.
Yeah. They probably came in to use the restroom.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
There's no one out here.
I bet it's like, yeah.
They probably came in to use the restroom.
Doesn't mean they're in the building, they could be in the parking lot.
I ain't got smoke with me.
Huh?
I ain't got smoke with me.
My gun's at the cleaners, I don't even have one in the car.
I knew that they could hear it better than I could hear it up here. So
So you're just gonna lock Ed out?
Ed said he's not coming back.
Well, can we make sure he gets to his car okay?
Are you going to walk him out?
I don't care. I'm bulletproof. I'm bulletproof. If PFAS don't get me, I'll make it.
Oh, speaking of PFAS.
Oh, Lord, don't speak of PFAS.
We're still recording.
So,
Right.
let me ask you guys one question while we're still recording.
Okay.
Invicta's not approved yet. They're
They are an emerging technology that's new they're new on the marketplace. Yes, Invicta both these are emerging technologies, and there are other companies that are trying to come up with other emerging technologies. That's
and
kind of-
Aqua's not approved yet either.
Aqua is, again, an emerging technology.
Right, so in the state of North Carolina, the rules for public water systems, essentially when you have any new technology that hasn't necessarily been proven at scale, you have to do a pilot to prove that technology. We follow that process both for the activated carbon, the ion exchange, and the novel sorbents, and the intent is to do the same with the Invicta here.
I'm gonna hate asking this question, but Scott and Jim are gonna know right where I'm going with this. Is DEQ the division that has to approve these systems? Or is it the federal government?
DEQ is where we sent the application to review the technologies in this proposal that we had submitted.
And they're short-staffed and a little behind.
Yes and yes.
So if they don't get our system approved and we fall behind the deadline, what do we do? Jim will go over there and bat him over the head.
You get a waiver.
Yeah, those are great questions.
I mean, we know DEQ is short-staffed and they're behind.
Right. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We're trying to get DEQ just to approve our payments for the I-85 project for reimbursement for ARPA funding by the end of the year, which is proving to be a challenge as well, but we're on that. So if I may, what I was saying was we're taking a modular approach so that we can find the best technology. And that's really the best that we can do because of the timeline that we have in front of us.
Now, to answer your question, as far as the site layout and the way we're laying out the facility, we're building in the flexibility to account in the future for these emerging technologies should they deem viable for the pilot work.
Anybody else have any more questions? Excellent.
All right. So then thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
that.
y'all.
Pages 98 and 99 include the final performance as well as the project description tasks, as well as the costs associated with this. So this is a lump sum value of this contract of $455,700 with additional allowances of $44,300. That brings us up to the total amount for this project. So I believe that I am asking the board to, on page 90, authorize, and asking the board of directors to authorize the executive director to execute task order number 2 with CDM Smith for the PFAS pilot evaluation and planning study with a total project cost not to exceed $500,000. Thank you.
Make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any conversation? Hearing none, everybody that agrees say aye.
Aye.
Everybody opposed say likewise. Motion passes.
Yes, sir.
All right, looks like item number 17, budget amendment number 11.
16, please, sir.
Sorry. Award of contract.
It is missing the budget amendment.
I'm okay, you can table the rest of them. All right, item number 16 is the bond anticipation note arbitrage services agreement. Just a little background. SGWASA Management recommends awarding contract to Bingham Arbitrage Rebate Services, Inc. to perform the required arbitrage calculations and IRS reporting for the authority's recently issued bond anticipation note, we'll refer to it as a BAN, which was approved by the LGC on October 7th, 2025 and closed on November 20th, 2025. Based on bond counsel's recommendation and a formal proposal, the services will not exceed $3,300 over the life of the BAN, with the potential for lower costs if the IRS exceptions are met. Budget amendment is later in the agenda, which allocates the necessary funds should you approve the award of the contract. I won't go through all the background, but I think we're all aware that we've got a $30 million bond anticipation note that sits out there for construction until the USDA construction completion, they take over that loan and issue a bond. And this is arbitrage for the interest earnings during the time that money is sitting there. So basically, budget amendment number 11 is on the agenda tonight. That will appropriate the $3,300. And the recommendation is that the board members approve the Bingham Arbitrage Rebate Services, Inc. for arbitrage services or not to exceed amount of $3,300 as presented. And then you've got the arbitrage agreement in your agenda.
Do I hear a motion to award a contract?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Lang with a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, everybody that agrees say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for approving that. 3,300 to make sure we've dotted all the i's for 35 million. It's a lot more helpful.
Seems to me.
Couple extra zeros.
Yeah, that's a lot more zeros than the 35 million. Okay, ready to move on to agenda item 17?
17, yes, sir.
Okay, so agenda item number 17 is fiscal year 25-26 budget amendment number 11. The requested action is we're seeking the board of directors approval for budget amendment number 11. Background, you'll see the board's approved 10 budget amendments thus far this fiscal year. The total fund balance impact is $14,630,747, and you'll see that the majority of that is dealing with the I-85 project. Budget amendment number 11 is transferring from fund balance $3,300 as we just discussed. It's also reallocating some expenditures. Or it's allocating expenditures, it's appropriating budget for the arbitrage services you just approved, but it's also reallocating some budget in the budget already for replacement of a laptop for the public information officer and related accessories. So it's transferring $3,300 from fund balance. It's increasing expenditures in the administration department by $3,900, reducing projects and studies by $600 for a total impact of $3,300. The executive director's recommendation is the SGWASA board of directors approve budget amendment number 11 as presented.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second. I'm quick.
Everybody in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Budget amendment number 12.
Okay, we're zipping right along. Budget amendment number 12 is basically for the DEQ grant of $500,000 and the associated 2% fee that you already previously approved on the agenda tonight, accepting the grant and the associated fee, and award scope. So this is the budget amendment that puts that all appropriated in the budget. You'll see that including the budget amendment number 11, that brings the total appropriations thus far this year to $14,634,047. This budget amendment is increasing other financing sources, $500,000, transferring from fund balance to $10,000, which is the 2% SGWASA fee, and it's all being appropriated in the projects and studies expenditure department, $510,000. And you've got supporting documentation in the budget book. SGWASA Board of Directors approved budget amendment 12 as presented. That's the recommendation.
Do I hear a motion?
I hate budget amendments.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
This is free.
Second.
Any discussion?
I hate budget amendments.
Hear none. Everybody that approves, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. Motion carries.
See, that was about 3 minutes. Next time I'll cover PFAS. We'll be out there.
Always have a clown in the group, right?
We really appreciate Richard and
I agree.
all that they do for us. So remember, any rate increases are based on the finance director's recommendation.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. All right. Great job. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it.
All right, our comments from our executive director.
Well, thank you, board members. A lot of topics this evening, a lot of detail, a lot of deep dives. Greatly appreciate your support, your questions, and your direction as we continue to move the organization forward. A lot of topics. We focus primarily on water and water quality, and PFAS continues to be the topic du jour. I just want to let you know the ID5 project is going extremely well. Both CP1 and CP2. I've requested from CDM Smith that they do a board presentation and update for you. I anticipated probably the June board meeting. We'll have CP number 2 about 6 months underway and about 1.5 years on CP1. So I've asked them to do a presentation for us. So look for that coming up. Give the board an idea of how well the project is going with a lot of pictures as well. We're making a lot of great progress. One of the things that I would like to mention this evening, and I think the board knows how we are with customer service and our responsiveness. I just want to give you an example of tonight's public comment about SGWASA not doing enough for customer service and responding to our customers out on this project and using the word crap, which I think is inappropriate. I just want you to know that last month, we had a resident, Chet Thompson in Butner, communicated with us about the blasting radius. Could be expanded beyond the original 500-foot area impact estimation. And the resident stated that the effects of blasting can be felt in his home, which is outside the initial estimated radius. I want you to know that, as I said I would do, I would follow up with him the next day and our project team, which we did. And we actually placed a seismic monitor out at that property, I think 11 o'clock in the morning, so that we had that device in place before our blasting later that morning. We took that measurement and we had an ND, or non-detect. So no vibrations traveled far enough from 8th Street to where this resident was. That's the good news. I just want to emphasize how we respond to customer requests. And I think to give that type of service within 12 hours was excellent. If these items or concerns are brought to my attention, which this one has not until tonight's board meeting, I think that we could have reacted a lot quicker. So I would ask that if the public has any concerns with any one of our projects, especially this ID5 project and the blasting, please call one of us, because we have 8 to 10 people working on this project that could provide that service. And we'd be happy to do that. So again, if you have concerns with this project or anything that we're doing, we are very easy to find. We are very responsive, and I think that we've demonstrated that to the board as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. Comments from our SGWASA attorney?
No comments, Sue.
Excellent.
Really? Not even going to make a comment for me? Thanks, Jim.
Not unless you say something else.
Comments from our board members. And we're going to start with Councilperson Tom Lane.
Yeah, just a lot to take in tonight. I think we made some good progress. Things moving along. I try to ride the projects weekly or 2 or 3 times a week. I try to ride through all the projects and see how they're going, and it's a lot to take in. We got a lot going.
Thank you, Mr. Lane. Councilperson Vicki Daniels.
Well, thank you. I was glad to see the thorough, the budget being shared and with the public. I really think our staff has done an excellent job. You know, Crystal, she puts a lot of work into the way it's presented, and everything is so clear and in detail. I appreciate that, because I think our consumers, our ratepayers, need to know that. It's easier for them to understand it. So I appreciate all the hard work that everyone put into the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor Pro Tem Archer Wilkins.
Good evening. I want to take a moment to say it's good to be back on this board again. What I find most important for our community, and that is the responsibility of this organization to ensure the delivery of clean, safe, and reliable water to our approximately 6,600 customers. I'm excited after my initial meeting with the executive director that he, his staff, and this board also align with that responsibility. When I reflect on the past period from 2016 to 2019, that record showed that many residents experienced ongoing concerns regarding water quality. Those concerns include discoloration and odor, and resulted in a loss of public confidence significant enough that some households chose not to consume the water. It was also clear back then that concerns raised by residents were heard in public meetings over those multiple years. However, corrective action, including infrastructure upgrades, treatment improvement, long-term planning, did not fully take place. Admittedly, as a former board member, I did not recognize those concerns, and for that reason, I apologize. Fast forward to today, and this leadership and this board has made changes, projects were initiated, and planning was begun and is ongoing to addressing both immediate and emerging challenges. Those actions matter, and they should be recognized. The current leadership in this board over the last several years should be commended for the actions taking place now. Of course, these actions came after years of community concern rather than ahead of it. Governance is both a collective and individual responsibility. As board members, we are entrusted with oversight, with asking hard questions, and ensuring that our systems are not only functioning, but are functioning in a way that earns and maintains public trust. As I move forward as a board member, I want to allow each one of you in being proactive and not reactive, to act at the first sign of concern, not after problems persist, and above all, to ensure that the people we serve never have a reason to question the safety of something as fundamental as their drinking water. As a board member, I understand my responsibility to represent SGWASA. My first responsibility will always be, as an elected official of the city of Creedmoor, to represent the constituents that I serve. I believe the citizens of Creedmoor and all of our customer base deserves nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Granville County Commissioner Jimmy Gooch.
Well, I don't have anything prepared, but a couple of statements, a couple of things I'd like to speak about is when it comes to the blasting, SGWASA is not actually doing the blasting. We have a contractor that's running the project, and we have a subcontractor that's doing the blasting. But if you have any questions about it, any problems, Executive Director, Mr. Sororia, is very responsive, and his staff is very responsive, and they'll look into any concerns you have. Now, I have to wonder about some of these blasts, because you were talking about the one, you put out the detector. Did it pick up anything from Sunrock?
Well, actually, I can't say that it did, but we know that we have to correlate our seismic instruments to coordinate and correlate with the blast that we're doing and not a blast that's occurring across the street.
Okay.
So we are aware of that. So we don't want to get false readings from across the street. So, And this equipment is very expensive, so we don't put it out at someone's house and leave it out for 2 or 3 weeks. We put the equipment out, we run the blast. If we're blasting twice that day, then we pull the equipment back in. So
once the blast is done.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Also, we talk about revenue a lot. And we're talking about, some people have some heartburn about future needs, but you have to understand that our future needs for revenue, a lot of it will be offset by future development. And we've got several projects set to come online just about the time we finish the I-85 project. And once those projects come online and others come online, and the area continues to grow, there comes your revenue. I remember when we first discovered the problem with getting wastewater across I-85 through the Joe Peed Road pump station and line from Joe Peed Road that Creedmoor put in the late 70s, early 80s. When we first discovered that the problem there, and later on we got to looking and found out that the pump station is now in the 100-year flood zone. Station didn't move, the flood zone did. So we have all that to contend with. But Edgar Smoke was the chair then, and he and I sat down and we went over just the numbers from the proposed projects through the town of Buck. The proposed projects we had at that time and the revenue that would be generated by those projects would more than pay for the upgrades needed for the what now become the I-85 project. But you can't count revenue that you don't have. The state won't let you do that. No, the accountants won't let you do that. It doesn't pass muster with the auditors, so you can't use those numbers to project the revenue for your projects. So therefore, the revenue will come. Thinking back to 2018, 2019 era, I remember when I first got on the board in 2017, December, one of the first things when I sat down and spoke with Lindsay, one of the first things I asked about was, how many complaints do you get about water quality? How many do you get? He came back with a number of 120. And I'm thinking, well, 120 a month. That's, that's about right compared to what I hear on social media. The only thing was, Lindsay's corrected me. That was per year. We had 120 complaints in the previous year, which really amounted to about 10 per month. And, we had a problem then when people were talking about SGWASA, but not talking to SGWASA. And we've worked very hard over the years, especially since Scott came on board. We've upgraded our computer system throughout the organization. We've updated our web page. We have kind of come into this century with technology, and it's very easy, very convenient for anyone to find out anything they want to know about SGWASA through the website. We're very transparent. We put the information out there. There should be no worries about water quality, because if you report it, they work on it. It's very simple. And that concludes my statements for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gooch. Commissioner May.
Hey, good evening. I want to thank the HR director for explaining the 86% workers' comp and putting it into real language. That looks like a big number when in fact you guys are doing a really good job. So I appreciate that. And the PFAS study, thank you for what you guys are doing, and you're looking ahead, and thank you for bringing the organization here tonight to talk about that. The reality of it is that the kind of lessen my anxiety, if you will, in regards to building something that all of a sudden we wake up and that's not what we really needed. We could have done it for this. But in reality it's an emerging technology. And so we're actually ahead of the curve. And when I go back and look at that, that's 2021. So I was disappointed over this last summer and prior to being on the board of getting the hearing all the comments regarding the SGWASA not approaching and looking into and really taking a serious look into PFAS and the impact it could have. And not minimizing anybody or anything, or not criticizing those who have what they believe or a legitimate complaint. There is PFAS. But it's not right to demonize an organization or its people who are working very aggressively to solve a problem. It is so easy to stand out publicly and beat down an organization that's trying. SGWASA is not perfect. No organization is. No person is. I don't know but one that is. Jesus. And that's my Savior. But what I will say is that, the fact that I hope we can move beyond and start looking at what we're doing to make things better. And yes, it's going to have an impact on people. And eventually it will have an impact on the rates, whether we like it or not. I don't like that. No one likes that. No one likes a tax increase. No one likes a rate increase. No one likes any of that. No one likes to see, and I'm going to say it because I'm also disappointed as someone who's worked close to 40 years in public service at some capacity. I'm thankful for our employees here. It's not a glamorous job by no means, but it is absolutely an essential job. Absolutely. And just as when you go out to that car and you turn the switch of your car and it comes on, you anticipate when you turn that faucet that water's going to come out. And if I'm a ratepayer and the rates are high, you gotta really understand why they got so high. And there were a lot of things that happened to a 1940 system to make it get that high. It didn't happen overnight, and you don't have so many people that can pay for a system. But to degrade employees and people based on what they're doing, it's not appropriate. It's just not appropriate. I don't think any of the employees at SGWASA are getting rich, and I don't think any of them are being overcompensated. You might debate with people this benefit or that benefit, which package will work better for this group of people, but anyone that's involved in the insurance industry and watches the insurance industry, even including your own home insurance, which has gone up exponentially, you have to understand that there's some things out of control of an organization, but you have to do something to help your people, and you've got to retain employees, or you don't retain those employees, you're going to wake up and turn that faucet, and there's not going to be water. So I hope welcome Mr. Wilkins on the board.
Thanks, sir.
I'm really hoping that we can tone some things down in the community and we can start focusing on what makes this community great. Why Creedmoor? Why Butner? Why they're great places to live? And that we hear about the good things that go in our community. And SGWASA is a good thing because they're doing everything they can to turn around a 1940 system into an excellent system that we all can be proud of. Not perfect. And so I think of this board, other boards, and then, it's a good thing to talk about good things about good people. You can sell a lot of newspapers. You can even enter a political office by saying a lot of bad things about a lot of people, about a lot of things. Whether they're true or not doesn't really matter. I really hope this organization and this community will focus on the good things, the good people, and the good future that we have. And you know, it's I'm glad I live in Granville County. I'm glad I represent the organizations that I represent. It's a privilege, first of all. It's not a right, it's a privilege. But you can expect everything I said tonight to be repeated in the newspaper within a couple weeks. It'll be turned one way to another, twisted and turned.
Amen.
But what I will tell you is I'm speaking the truth. And the truth is none of these board members up here, none of the SGWASA workers ever show up in the morning and go like, I really hope the water stinks today. You know, I really hope I make a decision that's really going to make it hard for the right thing to happen. I really want to stick it to the man and raise the rates. I really want to do that. Gee, that was a great decision. No one does that. And so when we get this perception that no one cares because they're not doing what you want them to do, then it's time to educate, it's time to discuss, it's time to talk, it's time to engage. Well past that time. So if we fail as a board, since I've been on it prior, or as an organization, to adequately address issues, we need to accept that and we need to fix it. And I think we're doing that. That's also hopefully that others will think that, you know what, I can dig up 1,000 articles out of the newspaper and talk about PFAS up and down the East Coast of the United States. I can do that tomorrow. I can find you sites throughout this country. There are, whether textile, when you name it, are just horrid with some type of chemical, forever chemical in water. It's just not. But I'm gonna shut down right there because the bottom line is that I'm done with the negative. If you want to swim in that water and be Mr. or Mrs. Negative, we don't want criticism is good. Need criticism to make things better. When it's criticism that's directed with solution-based, something that can bring about a solution, not something that can just continue to take away and demean from a community that really is on the cups of doing some really great things. Whether you agree with growth or don't grow, it's about bringing about a better and more sustainable water system for the generations that will come to these communities. And I think we're doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. May. Commissioner SGWASA Vice Chair, Georgiana Kaczynski.
Okay.
That's hard to follow right there.
I will tell you it is, but the word growth has been brought up several times tonight, and there was an editorial about comments I made about growth in the newspaper, so I'm going to need Vicki Daniels' help. Vicki, you're a real estate agent, correct?
Yes.
So I want to sell my house, and I call you. Do I have to get permission from Creedmoor?
No.
Do I have to get permission from Butner?
No.
Do I have to get permission from the county?
No.
And I sell my house for the price I want to sell it for, correct?
Right.
And again, Jim Wren doesn't have to write me a letter and say it's okay, you can do it. I don't need permission from any municipality. People are selling land and selling houses. They're selling them to developers. They're making money. They're not walking away penniless. That's where the growth is coming, people. And the city commissioners of Creedmoor, Butner, Stem County, we have no control over what happens. They can do with that land what they want when they sell it. And as long as whoever's buying it follows the ordinances of those municipalities, there's nothing we can do. We can try, we can set some conditional boundaries, but that's it. So the municipal leaders are not responsible for the growth. We'd like to see it because you have to grow to produce. And if you don't, you become stagnant. And then you just turn into a ghost town. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Crystal, are we ready, girl?
We're ready.
All right. So the other thing that came up at our last meeting was we don't know anything about what's going on at SGWASA. So Crystal has done a phenomenal job of updating a SGWASA. We didn't have a SGWASA website when you started, did we?
Yeah.
We did.
We did.
We did.
Yes.
But it wasn't this pretty.
No, it was
All right.
very tough to navigate.
All right. So if you want to know what is going on, you scroll up down to engineering projects. And then you click on engineering projects and it gives you the updates. It also gives you the monthly reports from your executive director, and it tells you where they are and what they're doing. And at this point, you can register for alerts, which I get, and we all get, sometimes 5 a day, 5 a week. You can sign up for them or not, but you have the opportunity to learn whatever is going on, and you say that you want to know. And there's the executive director's monthly reports on projects. If you go back to the home page and you click on water quality, you will click on water quality right there. It'll take you to a video of how the water treatment process works. Further, it will provide you with a link to submit your water quality questionnaire from this page. This is how SGWASA becomes informed on any good or bad issues that you are having. They will update their database with the information provided in real time. And I will tell you, Scott took me on a tour in a video meeting of a neighborhood because I had a customer who said they flushed my line last month. Well, when we went back and we looked at that house in an overview of the neighborhood, that line hadn't been flushed since 2021. So I was amazed at what the database could do and the information they could get right on hand. When you submit your water quality questionnaire and SGWASA becomes informed of the good or bad issues, they can address them. They can address them if you go out on social media and complain, like Commissioner May said. If you want to complain, give us a solution. Tell us, and I've worked in outside businesses, and we were told, don't come to a meeting complaining about a system unless you have a suggestion for a solution. And we're not saying, tell us how to run SGWASA. We're just saying, complaining isn't helping. If you don't send us these reports, we can't fix the problem. It's the only way the problem gets fixed. And customer service, you heard, we are putting people in two more people in to handle more customer service. We're going to have to add a lot more people after the I-85 project is done. But we are doing everything we can to keep the rates down, to keep the costs down so it doesn't affect you. Ms. Bailey came to our first finance committee meeting and she came up to us at the end. She said, thank you for not raising the rates. I know that they are going to have to go up for PFAS. They're going to have to. It's a $26 million project and the money comes from somewhere. We're praying that it will fall from the heavens, and I've put my umbrella away so that if it does fall, I can catch it. But it's not funny, it is serious. And we need your help and your support and your positive understanding, not the word crap, I agree, was very unprofessional. I didn't appreciate that word either. I don't know why. We're not trying to hurt anybody. We're absolutely not trying to hurt our employees. We lost one very good employee and we learned fast how to fix that problem. And Vicki Daniels is the chair for the finance committee and you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And I hope everybody appreciates the hard work that every employee at SGWASA does, from Scott all the way down to utility workers, our HR people, our finance committee. Chris, you've answered questions for me on Saturday mornings when you were supposed to be off, but you've been kind enough to do that, and I appreciate it. These people work. A lot of these people work 24/7. They don't get a day off. So thank you all for coming. Ms. Johnson and Ms. Bailey, thank you so much for your continued attendance at these meetings. It means a lot to us. Go now.
Thank you, Ms. Kaczynski. So now I got to follow up. So I want to say thank you first to Crystal for having everything set up and the slideshow that we saw on the budget.
Made it interesting.
Scott, thank you for everything you do. Chris, for answering questions that we do have that we don't know the answers to. HR, for keeping everybody under control and making sure that we had the correct answers that we need at the right time. Finance, everything that y'all do, every dollar, every penny that you watch. And I know we have one person on that watches every penny. Our attorney, everybody on this board. So when the finance committee met the first time, it was 3 of us in there, and we said we didn't want to raise rates.
That's right.
And all 3 of us agreed to that right off the get-go.
Right.
So that's what we did. We didn't raise rates. We know with the PFAS coming up, we're going to have to raise rates. Unless, like you said, it falls from the heavens. And
there is hope.
There is hope. We can always get grants to make this happen. But the state turned over to us. I've been on this board for many, many years. And I don't know exactly how many years I've been here. Somebody else can probably answer that. I'm not exactly sure.
I'll probably remember.
So when I first started on this board, we had some water that was not so good. We had some issues. And as we've progressed along the years, all of that has been fixed. Do we still have water that has problems at times? We do. But it all meets EPA guidelines 100%. You know how many times I got letters at my house back in the day saying this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong? I also want to bring up a meeting I attended in between this meeting last month and this meeting this month. The same water that comes to STEM goes to Creedmoor and goes to Butner and goes to people that live in the county that's hooked onto city water. There is no difference in water. People say that it's got different water in Creedmoor and different water in STEM. It's the same water. It comes from the same lines. The only thing STEM has better is we have a newer system, so we have newer lines. That is the only thing. It's the same water. I was at that meeting, and somebody that was brought up in the audience, and they yelled out a cuss word saying BS, that it's not the same water. It is the same water. And I want that perfectly clear. It is the same water. So that's all I have to say with this. Thank y'all for everybody. Thank you everybody on this board. I think this board has really come together as a unity, and that's what I want to see happen from now on. Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say bye.
Bye.